The flashbulbs exploded. The script felt, I don't know, finalized. 20 years it took.
Yeah, 20 years.
Two halves of this, like, cultural myth standing side by side. They were promising a sequel, one that would somehow beat the catastrophic ending of the first movie.
Right.
And the question everywhere, every gossip column was, could they do it? Could Hollywood's biggest second chance actually survive the pressure that just crushed them back in, 2004?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Starscoop Report.
So today, we're doing a real deep dive here. We're looking at the whole story, the full narrative arc, you could say, of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck.
Bennifer.
And look, this isn't just celebrity gossip, right? It's almost like a cultural document. It tracks how fame changed, how toxic the media got, and just the sheer challenge of making love work across two completely different decades. We're talking 2002 all the way to, 2025, basically.
Yeah, our goal here is to get past the shiny photos, the crazy headlines, and really uncover the personal growth that happened, and maybe more importantly, the fault lines, the fundamental issues that were always there, really, in both chapters of Bennifer.
Okay, so where do we start?
Let's start at the beginning. Ground zero. The absolute birth of celebrity brand synergy.
Right. It all kicked off, like a lot of Hollywood stories, on the set of a movie that, didn't do so well. Gigli, early 2002.
Okay, set the scene. J-Lo was massive, arguably the biggest star in the world then.
Absolutely. Global phenomenon. Affleck, he was a proper leading man. Solid career.
And she's married at the time.
She was, yeah. But apparently the connection was just instant, undeniable. She files for divorce that July.
Boom, everything changes.
Everything, because almost immediately the media jumps on it. I think it was the New York Post. They coined the term Bennifer.
Which seems so normal now, but you have to remember, back then.
Exactly. It was revolutionary. It wasn't just a cute nickname. It was the birth of the celebrity portmanteau. It created this single, super powerful, very marketable thing out of two people.
They weren't just dating actors anymore.
No, they were a brand built for maximum tabloid sales. And the symbol of that brand, it arrived just 4 months later, November 2002, the ring.
Ah, the pink diamond.
That spectacular 6.1 carat radiant cut pink diamond from Harry Winston. Huge.
Estimated over $1 million, right? Maybe even more. It wasn't just a ring, it was a statement. Pure Hollywood power, totally public.
But that kind of public display, that opulence, it came with a massive price tag, not just in dollars.
Yeah, this was peak toxic tabloid culture, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely the peak. The press felt like they owned them. Affleck himself, he talked about it later, he figured the media attention was maybe like 50% of why it all fell apart.
50%? Wow.
Yeah, he said there was this narrative, this feeling that the public actively hated you together, just relentless negativity.
But here's the paradox, isn't it? They kind of fed the monster themselves. I mean, think about the Jenny from the Block video, 2002. It was meant to be this commentary on fame, right? Showing private moments.
Like the meta-commentary.
But then you've got Affleck famously rubbing lotion on her bikini-clad backside on a yacht. They basically erased the line between public and private.
They really did. It was like complaining about the invasion while handing the paparazzi pure gold.
So they were fueling the fire.
And eventually, that fire turned on them. Remember Gigli, the movie where they met?
Yeah, the bomb.
Total disaster. Premiered July 2003. Critics hated it. Audiences stayed away. And somehow, the failure of the movie got completely tangled up with the public projecting them as a couple, as the Bennifer brand.
It became like their original sin or something?
That's a good way to put it. It just tainted the whole romance.
And the pressure just became too much. They pulled the plug on the wedding.
Yeah.
3 days before?
Literally 3 days. Planned for September 14th, 2003. They released a statement, blamed the excessive media attention.
And the official split came a few months later, early 2004. J-Lo said it was the biggest heartbreak of my life. Sent her on a spiral for the next 18 years.
Yeah, heartbreaking. They left the stage, completely broken by it all. But those next nearly 2 decades apart, they weren't just a pause.
No.
It was like the crucible, the time they both needed to figure out who they were on their own, to build that self-sufficiency that was maybe missing the first time.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. And stick with us, because later on we're going to reveal the very specific, secret 3-word promise that was engraved inside the second engagement ring. It tells you so much about how they tried to do things differently.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for that.
But first, let's talk about that transformation, those nearly 20 years apart. What happened?
Well, those parallel journeys, the growth they both went through, it's absolutely key to understanding Bennifer 2.0. You have Jennifer Lopez. She marries Mark Anthony, has twins,
Right.
and she stages this massive career comeback. American Idol, the movie Hustlers.
Yeah.
Huge successes.
That wasn't just about the career, was it? You mentioned a shift in her philosophy.
Exactly. That was maybe the deeper change. She started talking about not needing a relationship to define her. That whole idea, you've got to be okay on your own before you can be okay with somebody else.
Which is a big shift from the first time around, where the Bennifer brand felt so central.
A huge shift. It felt like she found this internal self-worth that wasn't just tied to fame or a partner.
Okay, and Affleck. His journey was, well, pretty public and dramatic, too.
Arguably more dramatic, yeah. Professionally, he kind of hit rock bottom after the first Bennifer split. But then he completely reinvented himself.
As a director.
As a serious director. Gone Baby Gone, then Argo. Winning the Oscar for Best Picture. Huge turnaround.
And personally.
Personally, he was very open about his struggles with alcoholism. He got sober, focused really intensely on being a dad, co-parenting his 3 kids with Jennifer Garner. He talked about fatherhood being his absolute top priority.
So fast forward to April 2021. J-Lo splits from Alex Rodriguez. And almost immediately.
The rumors start swirling. Bennifer 2.0. Could it happen?
And this time, it wasn't just tabloid speculation. There was groundwork. Emails.
Yeah, apparently Affleck started sending these loving and longing emails back in February 2021 while she was away filming in the Dominican Republic.
Wow, so he initiated.
It seems like it. And then, for the real fans, the hardcore Bennifer watchers. The proof came in May 2021, that getaway to Montana.
Yellowstone Club, right. What was the detail?
The detail that sent everyone wild was Affleck wearing the exact same silver chain watch he wore in the Jenny from the Block video back in 2002.
No way.
Yes, it was like this tiny symbolic nod, like, I remember everything. Confirmed it for a lot of people.
Okay, that's pretty specific. And then J-Lo made it official herself, right?
Yeah.
On Instagram?
Her 52nd birthday, July 2021, posted a photo dump from Monaco and buried in there.
Oh, yeah.
A picture of them in a really passionate kiss. Bennifer 2.0 was officially launched.
What's so interesting to me is how the public reaction flipped completely.
Oh, it was night and day. 2002 was all about the frenzy, the toxicity. 2021, it became this pop culture comfort food.
Comfort food.
Yeah, think about it. The world had been through a really tough few years with the pandemic and everything. And suddenly, here's this real-life fairy tale reunion, it felt like. Like, we all just decided we needed this story.
Like a collective do-over.
Sort of. Almost like a cultural apology for how nasty everyone was the first time around. It wasn't spectacle. It felt like atonement. By the way, if you're enjoying these deep dives into Hollywood history and, the psychology behind these big moments, definitely hit that subscribe button. We do this kind of thing all the time.
Good point. So the reunion happens, the public is mostly thrilled, and then comes the second engagement, April 2022. How was that different?
It signaled maturity right away. It wasn't some huge public announcement or paparazzi setup. It was quiet, intimate. Just a quiet Saturday night at home, is how she described it. The total opposite of the first time.
Anti-spectacle.
Exactly. And the ring reflected that too. No more flashy pink diamond, which felt very of its time.
What was it this time?
She chose an incredibly rare 8.5 carat natural green diamond. Apparently green is her lucky color, very personal to her. Estimated value, maybe over $5 million. So still incredibly valuable, but different. Less about trend, more about meaning.
Unique, valuable, personal, but you mentioned the most powerful symbol was hidden.
Yes, inside the ring. Engraved.
Okay, you teased this earlier. The 3-word promise. Referencing the past, resolving it for the present. What did it say?
It was the promise Affleck used in those emails when they first reconnected. Engraved inside the band were the words, not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah, just 3 words, but they say everything, don't they? About the maturity, the resolve this time around. Directly tackling the biggest failure of Bennifer 1.0, him crumbling under the pressure.
That's powerful. So with that promise literally engraved, they moved towards marriage. And they did it twice.
Twice. First up, Vegas, July 2022. Spontaneous, almost deliberately anti-Hollywood.
Little white wedding chapel. Classic.
Totally. Stripped down, no fuss. She apparently wore a dress from an old movie, and she announced she was taking his name, Mrs. Jennifer Lynn Affleck. It felt like this was the private, sacred union they needed first, shielded from the world.
Okay, the private, sacred part. But then, a month later, August 2022, the Georgia extravaganza, this huge 3-day party at Affleck's estate, which, by the way, was the same place they were supposed to get married back in 2003.
Exactly.
So Doesn't that kind of cancel out the whole anti-spectacle vibe of Vegas? Was Vegas just like setting the narrative?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it gets right to the core duality of their whole relationship. You could argue the Georgia wedding wasn't about negating Vegas, but about closure.
Closure for the 2003 disaster.
Precisely. Healing old wounds, as Lopez herself said. Doing vague public performance, but on their own terms this time. Guests in white, 3 custom Ralph Lauren gowns for her. It was the public, almost artistic performance needed to finally close the book on 2003. They needed both, maybe. The private sanctuary and the public declaration.
The private sanctuary versus the public performance, and that tension, that friction between those two fundamental needs, that became the story of the marriage itself, didn't it?
Absolutely. That core incompatibility, which honestly you could see hints of way back with Jenny for the Block, it just came roaring back. It became the defining conflict.
And it was laid bare in her documentary, right? The Greatest Love Story Never Told. Affleck was pretty candid.
He really was. He admitted how tough the compromise was, living with her life as art approach. He actually said one of his first conditions for getting back together was, listen, one of the things I don't want is a relationship on social media.
Wow. And he had that analogy. What was it?
Yeah, it was vivid. He said trying to make it work was like, you're going to marry a boat captain. You go, well, I don't like the water.
Oof. That sums it up, doesn't it? A fundamental mismatch.
It really does. She lives her life out loud, believes vulnerability is her art. He, especially after getting sober and focusing on family, craved privacy, normalcy. They'd built these successful, fulfilling lives based on totally opposing values. And in the end, even with all the history and genuine love, that gap was just too wide to bridge.
And that fault line finally cracked the marriage. When did the separation start?
Rumors started May 2024,
Mm.
and the divorce filing, August 20, 2024.
Right, August 20th.
Yep, the exact 2-year anniversary of that big Georgia wedding celebration.
Ah, that's pointed. Symbolic, I guess.
Extremely symbolic.
Yeah.
But their final act, in public at least, was maybe their most sophisticated move yet.
How so?
October 2025. The New York premiere of J-Lo's film, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Affleck was an executive producer. They appeared together on the red carpet.
How's the vibe?
Not at all, apparently. Warm, professional. They publicly praised each other's work. Affleck called her performance spectacular. Sources said they'd reached a great place of friendship.
So they finally mastered the public narrative, the thing that destroyed them the first time.
It really seems like it. They proved that even if the romance didn't make it, the respect, the professional partnership, and importantly, the commitment to their blended family could survive.
Yeah, the family aspect is huge. 5 kids between them.
Ultimately, maybe that's the most successful outcome. That commitment to stability for the kids, that seems to have genuinely outlasted the marriage itself.
So the Bennifer saga. It's got to be Hollywood's most famous second chance story, right?
Hands down. And it's a powerful lesson, I think. It shows that even with genuine love, deep history, the absolute best intentions, sometimes it's just not enough to overcome those fundamental differences in how you want to live your life, your core philosophy.
Yeah, love isn't always enough.
It seems not.
Yeah.
And maybe connecting it to the bigger picture. Think about how the story started. Press and public basically vilifying them, almost cheering for the breakup.
Right, total feeding frenzy.
And how did it end? With the press and public kind of celebrating their mature, graceful separation, praising their commitment to co-parenting.
That's a huge shift in tone over 20 years.
It really is. Which leads to a provocative thought, maybe.
Go on.
What is that whole evolution of the Bennifer narrative, from villainy to this sort of respectful applause? What does it tell us about how much we've changed, we, the audience, the public? Have we actually matured in how we deal with celebrity spectacle over the last 2 decades? Or is it something else?
That's definitely something to think about. Have we changed? Or just the narrative?
Exactly. Food for thought for our listeners.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that keep the stars shining.